Remind me again what this is for. I forget.
Yeah, no problem. Basically, this is just an opportunity for us to interview the elders, just to get
Uh-huh.
an update from how they're doing, what life is like, as well as for the congregation to kind of get to know you better, your family, your ministry, how we can encourage the church family as well during this COVID season.
Let's talk about your family. Do you mind just introducing us to your family?
I'm married to Jen, and we've been married for now 18 years. We have 4 kids: Caleb, who's 16, Jojo's 15, Chris is 13, and CJ just turned 10 about a month ago.
Full house. That's great.
It is.
Okay, 18 years ago, right, you got married to Jen, but what was it like meeting her? Like, how'd you know her? How'd you guys get married?
We actually met in high school at a youth retreat that our churches attended. Unfortunately, I don't actually remember it. So my wife remembers it. I don't remember meeting her. I'm a little bit older, so I was a senior in high school. She was a freshman.
Okay.
So, but I'm sure it was a very magical moment for me. I just don't remember it. And then we didn't start dating until she was in college and I was in seminary. So not till a little while later.
Like go to the same church during that time, or?
No, so we were at different churches, but our churches would a bunch of different churches would attend this one conference, Mount Hermon. So we both were at that conference together, and we met there.
How long did you guys date before getting married?
We probably dated for about a year, and then we broke up for about a year, I'm guessing, and then we dated for another year, and then got married, and then got engaged and got married. So something along those lines. I don't exactly remember. It's been a long time.
I'm sure there's a lot of stories within that whole like process. Like, is there one that stands out to you, or one that was like particularly?
No. If you're a sports fan, you'll appreciate this. But there's a term in soccer called aggregate scoring. Usually they have one home game and one away game, and you combine the score. So they're called game one and game two. So my wife and I refer to our dating as game one and game two. So game one was when we first dated, and then we broke up in game two. So she'll ask like, wait, did that happen in game one or game two? So that's how we refer to our dating life, as game one and game two. And so in the end, I won, right? Aggregate scoring, I won.
Okay.
But there was 2 games in there.
Your family seems very happy. Like, just they love being with each other. What's normal family life look like?
Yeah, I mean, COVID is definitely different. We're usually a pretty busy family, so we're always kind of on the run, and kids have soccer and volleyball and curriculars and school and all that kind of stuff. So, but I think we do enjoy each other. I mean, we definitely get on each other's nerves, and it's a sanctifying process. And again, not just my kids, but I can get on their nerves, I'm sure. But I think it has been a blessing. Even like COVID's been good, just to slow down and to have lingering dinners and little things like that has been a blessing. So I would say I think we are a happy family. We still have to work and grow and things like that, but we're very thankful for what God has given us.
Are there any like particular moments during COVID where like when you're watching your kids, you're like, man, I love being a dad. Like I love being their dad in particular.
You know what's been nice is like just like conversations with one kid at a time. Like just when you're driving, you're running an errand, or you just taking a walk with them or something. And I think those conversations are meaningful. Because we have fun together. Like so, I think like something that we've done a lot is play a lot more games of whatever, Bang or Quiplash or different games since we've had time in the evening and stuff. And that's always fun. But I think those conversations where you just kind of sit and you get, one of your kids asks a real question or, has an actual interest in something that's meaningful or things like that. I think those are really special times. It really is a grace. And even just telling another family the other day, it's like, I'm assuming this is like one of the last times that'll be like this. My older son is a couple of years from going to college and things like that. So trying to make the most of this season.
You mentioned that CJ's adopted. You got him when he was 4 months old. I've never known any family who has 3 natural kids and like, we're going to adopt another one. Yeah, would you mind explaining that? Like, how do you come to that conclusion?
I mean, I think for Jen and I, we both enjoyed a big family. So I don't think it was like, this was a big test of faith. Like, I don't know if we want a bigger family. We're all for that. But around that time, our church was going through a series we called In Light of Eternity and kind of what it meant to live in light of heaven, right? So not just for the now. So I know for my wife, she'll say that just reading Francis Chan's Crazy Love and just trying to think, what are the ways that we can kind of live out our faith? For me, I was preaching through Philippians. And again, just thinking, what does it mean to live for Christ wholeheartedly and things like that. And through that, and again, the desire to expand our family, we decided that maybe we would pursue adoption. I think because we already had 3 kids, it wasn't like we felt a pressure to make this happen or things like that. It was just something we kind of wanted to do. And if we felt like if God provides, he will. And if he doesn't, he won't. But that being said, it's been I cannot say it's been such a unique blessing, and I mean, just having CJ as part of our family and my son and things like that, it's hard to explain how much of a grace that's been. And that's just that's just God's kindness to us, so I think that's been a huge blessing.
How did you meet your wife and how did you get married?
Okay. Yeah, the kind of the funny thing about that is neither one of us know how we met each other. So I played for a basketball team, and some of the guys were from Mount Hermon that I knew. They were like cabin leaders, actually. And then some of the guys that she knew were just her friends, and they had put this basketball team together. So we think it was probably through basketball. Yeah, so we're not actually sure. And it's not just me that doesn't know. She doesn't know either. But
Oh my God.
moment. But yeah, so we're not really sure about that. But I mean, the cool thing is, I knew her before she was a believer, started coming to our church, started going to our young adult group. And I had the chance to share the gospel with her, which was, was an honor. And she came to faith, and we started dating, and then we got married at our previous church, prior to Lighthouse. So yeah, and we're going on 21 years now. We're coming
Wow.
up. Yeah. So
that's so great. So you've gotten to see like everything in her life, like all of her spiritual development and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And we've been through so much together. It's just ups and downs, and it's been amazing. God's been super faithful, and yeah, so it's been great.
After that, what were some of the blessings or like key experiences in like raising your kids?
I think some of the key experiences were sometimes some of the hard experiences. She's married to a small business owner with all the craziness that brings.
Yeah.
And she's been such a grace in that, and always supportive. We've lost parents and, people close to us, and for all that, I think God, has really done a work in our hearts and in our marriage. And so, I mean, the fun times are fun. We love to be together, and we're kind of geeky, and we could just walk the mall or eat dinner together, and that's a great night for us. But I think it's a lot of times it's just that those hard things that we've gone through that have been powerful in our relationships. So just having to support each other in those things. So yeah, that's been good. Yeah, we have 2 girls, and yeah, that's been an adventure in itself. I came from 4 boys and she came from 3 girls.
Oh my God.
But the power is strong in her family. So in their family, it's all girls, all granddaughters. And my 4 brothers and I brought to the table could change that. So we have 2 daughters. I love being a dad of daughters. It's amazing. So our oldest, and there's a lot of space between our oldest is going to be 17, which is crazy. And starting college next year. And then youngest is just turned 10, and she's adopted from Japan. And so, both just wonderful and different. And so I think that's been good, and trying to think through how to parent each one where they're at. They're different. They have different gifts. They have different strengths, different weaknesses, different sin tendencies. So good. God's teaching me. I think like Kim mentioned in his sermon, I feel like I fail a lot, and God is just gracious. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there like fun things that you guys enjoy doing together as a family?
One big thing is vacation wise, I think we like to go to Mammoth and do those kind of things. Yeah, we enjoy all sorts of things, and we don't go very often. We love like Disneyland. We like going to the beach. Zoe's into volleyball, and Shelly plays as well. And so Shelly and I play actually together in a league, and then Zoe and I will play together just for fun. And so yeah, we play a little bit of sports, and we like movies. Family likes movies, like Disney movies and Pixar movies, and so sometimes that's what we do at nights. But yeah.
Do you have like any advice for couples or parents?
I think for couples, I think the one thing that has been good for my heart is to always own my sin. I remember talking to my brother Jared about it really early on, and I think whenever there's disagreement or conflict, I think there's always a sense that someone's been wronged, but rarely is there a conflict where both aren't at fault, and even if it's just the way you respond to conflict, I think people, we need to understand that we're sinners and how much of God's grace we need in our lives, and really be grace in other people's lives. And so I think that's one thing that comes to mind, even as I do premarital. I should just remember, like, you guys are going to be so close. There's proximity is so close and so tight, and you're going to see each other for all you are. And, I think it's important to just be humble and remember our own sin in it all.
I think for parents, kind of like what I was saying is, I think each child is really different. And so though God gives us a great plan for how to raise our kids, I think how we apply it is different for each one. They're so unique. You know, even for us, we have a special needs daughter, right? And just what she's able to conceptualize is different than what our oldest daughter was able to understand. And so expectations, and you just have to kind of temper it to each kid. They're so unique. And so, yeah, that's something that I've been kind of thinking about a little bit.
Family is my wife, Amy. We've been married, this is our 20th year. Yeah, we're celebrating 20 years in October. We're both East Coast transplants. I'm from New York. She's from Georgia. And we met out here in SoCal. I was doing my residency and she finished college and came out here. She's working as an accountant. And we met, got married, and we have 2 kids, Taylor and Jared, both high schoolers, 17 and 15. Goes by so fast. Yeah, and so they are very independent. You know, my older one drives, and the younger one is chomping at the bit to get his permit. And so, yeah, it's a different season of life for us. You know, they can take care of themselves. So it's more at this point just kind of a lot of directing and kind of guiding the kids and preparing them, you know, to soon enough kind of go off on their own. So that's kind of our family. I'm lay elder, so do work outside of the church as a urgent care physician, and so I have a full-time job doing that as well. And Amy does a little bit of part-time work with accounting, and she works for the church as well in that department.
Are there any particular blessings or challenges that you could share about just raising your kids now that, you know, they're teenagers, about to transition and head out to college?
Oh gosh, I mean, so many blessings for sure. The greatest blessing is just seeing them really begin to own their faith. You know, it's not just because they're a pastor's kid or they go to church or, you know, that's all they've known, but really seeing them live it out in their daily devotions, in the way they love their friends and interact with others, the way they're approaching life now, you know, even how they're dealing with their own hearts and their own sin and idols, and seeing them kind of wrestling with that. So it's been a blessing just to see them really trying to walk with Christ. Maybe by far, that's the greatest blessing, I think, for any parent, right? And just praying that they'll continue to grow in that. The challenge has been along those lines as well, is just really making that a priority. I think as parents, we have all these other dreams and hopes for our kids. For me, just learning to put those in the right place, even dying to some of those, was a blessing and a challenge. So those are some of the big challenges. And then even now, just day to day, helping them think through what is wise in terms of just the activities they choose in the season of COVID. What does loving others look like? What does being mindful of where others' views are and how they may be responding look like? So that's been some challenges, you know, and we don't always see eye to eye. And sometimes they think I'm too strict or whatnot. So it's been a good opportunity just to think through it together, and even maybe have to think through why I want to see things a certain way. So that's been challenging. You know, it's no longer just, hey, you do this because dad said so, right? There's a lot more why is it important to do it this way, or why should we do it this way? And so that's been a continued challenge as they get older and they're thinking for themselves and developing their own kind of ways of seeing things. So,
like, would you have any advice for married couples or parents, you know, who are experiencing maybe that shift of, you know, the first few years of, you know, nursing and adjusting through the different seasons of life?
Oh gosh, yeah. Pray a lot. Yeah.
Amen to that.
You know, I think first, just trust that God is working through all this. I think as parents, we kind of want our kids just to kind of fall into the mold we want to see them in, and just kind of pursuing a lot of things we hope for them. And you know, as the older they get, the more they kind of are their own person and have their own passions and pursuits, and trust that God is guiding them and working, and ultimately will save them if that is his will, and will sanctify them. That's not necessarily my job. It's really just to point them in the right direction and continue to be a good kind of example of Christ to them. But trust that God is going to do that good work in spite of all the mistakes we as parents make, you know, and the inconsistencies that we show, and sometimes the mixed messages that we may send as parents and as a couple. So just to find hope in that, ultimately. For parents, just to be constantly communicating and evaluating well, just kind of where you're at as a family, kind of what your goals are this season for your kids and for your family. And really, are these good goals? Are these worthwhile? Are these really pointing our kids in the right direction to Jesus? Or are we getting too caught up in kind of pursuing the things of the world? And I think that's a constant evaluation that Amy and I have to make, and I think all couples should be talking through and thinking through and just guarding our own hearts and our family against just kind of worldly pursuits kind of seeping in.
So my wife Carrie and I have been married for almost 19 years now. And we didn't really meet, but I first saw her at Mount Hermon at the summer church camp. She's 2 years older than I am. So we were at high school camp. I think I was an incoming freshman and she was going to be a junior. So I'd say I first saw her there, but we didn't actually meet really until I was in college, get into college, and she was started coming to the church I grew up at Evergreen SGB because she had moved into the area for grad school. So we were both serving in youth ministry. She was with junior high, I was with high school, but the two groups met at the same time at the same location. So we got to know each other through through ministry.
So then, did you guys first start dating in college, or was this kind of after college?
This was like the very end of college for me, and Carrie was in physical therapy school at the time.
Any interesting story behind like how you proposed or things like that?
Yeah, so Carrie loves Disney and Disneyland, so we had passes, annual passes. I think at that time the pass that had no blackout days and parking was only $199, and you could go anytime. So this was a while back, but went to Disneyland, and actually Pastor Kim and Pastor Gavin, Jen and Lorraine and some other friends were there. I had given the engagement ring to Gavin and Kim, and they had gotten a basket. At the time, Carrie was into longer burger baskets, and so they got a basket, filled it with roses, and then put the ring in there. And then we went to the wishing well by the castle, and they were able to persuade everyone to kind of back up. They put the basket down by the well, and then Carrie and I walked up on it, and there was the basket with the ring, and I proposed there. And it was funny because there was a choir, there's groups at Disneyland, and there happened to be a choir there, and they actually got the choir to start singing after I proposed. So that was a nice touch.
Very memorable, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you have 3 kids. Maybe you can share about them. Maybe even like some of the blessings and challenges as you look back, and even as you're in the midst of parenting.
Yeah, so our oldest daughter, Kylie, is 15 and she's a 10th grader. So we're facing the challenges that come with that of more, a heavier academic load. She loves playing soccer. So before COVID, she was really active with her club team. And even now they still do some conditioning workouts at least. And the busyness of school, soccer, she's also involved in hula, that becomes something to juggle along with the other kids. Our other daughter, Katie, she's a 6th grader now, so she's in middle school. Yeah, she's also involved in hula. She did some basketball, although they're not playing now. And then our son, Seth, who's a 4th grader, and he loves baseball, he loves basketball. So I think one of the challenges we face as a family, especially pre-COVID, was busyness, right? Between serving, work, the kids' activities, being split up, through the week, throughout the weekends, just going to different games and practices. We love watching the kids and all their activities, but at the same time, it makes for, a busy schedule. So, that balance, I think, is one of the challenges that we would face as a family, and trying to prioritize church, youth group, also taking care of homework and activities, and spending time together as a family.
Many years ago, Lorraine and I met through mutual friends. And so both of us had graduated from college, and our mutual friends thought, you guys should meet each other. And so one of the mutual friends set up a kind of dinner get together. And so it was in an Italian restaurant. Myself, Lorraine, and our 2 mutual friends were there, and we had a good time. I knew about the setup, but Lorraine didn't. So that's kind of how it went, but that was how we met. What then happened was they set up a second kind of get together. And so we went to Coffee Bean, and it happens to be the Coffee Bean near the Del Amo Mall, of all places. Except the one difference was that Lorraine knew our mutual friends were trying to set us up this time. So you can say it was a bit awkward. I would be sharing, but me, my mutual friends, we would know the people we're talking about, but Lorraine wouldn't. And then Lorraine would start talking with the mutual friends, and I didn't know who they were talking about, and it was kind of awkward. That was how it went, and eventually after that, I just said, I've just got to ask her out on my own. And so I gave her a call and asked her on our first date.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how long you were dating, and yeah, when you proposed to her, how long did that take?
You're asking the hard questions already, Sophie. Hard questions.
So we like to start.
We were dating for about 1 year, and then I asked Lorraine for her hand in marriage, and we got engaged. So we had the proposal, and then it was, I believe, from October to July was our engagement.
Early on in marriage, or even when you were dating before Brielle and Joylan, how did you two spend time together?
I think similar things to what we try to do now on date nights when we were able to go on date nights, but was just going to restaurants and just being able to just hang out, be able to talk, be able to try different places to eat. We enjoy movies. It's not all the time, but any blockbuster that may come out, especially Marvel related, we would go to the movies there. Besides that, it's just more like hanging out with our, extended family, hanging out with friends, just getting together with them. So